Hello, welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Paul, and I'm hosting this time, and I'm here with James Pendleton. We're going to discuss the match that's just gone by, like yesterday. We're recording this on a Sunday evening. It was Brentford 1, Everton 1. 2 points dropped or a point gained. We'll go into that now and discuss it, and the performances, and yet another injury as well, and just try and digest it all and see kind of what the lay of the land is for Everton now that we're 4 games into the season. So, James, mate, did you manage to watch the game live? I didn't personally. I couldn't find a stream, but I've managed to see, some comprehensive highlights of the game on the website. Basically, saw everything I needed to see to get a gist, to get a grip of what exactly the narrative of the game was. And for me, I thought we were very poor defensively, but we'll go into, the specific of what I think in a second. But what was your general takeaway from the game?
I managed to get a stream. Yeah, I think I watched the first 20 odd minutes with the English commentary. Everyone was whinging about Gary Birtle, so the last stream went down. I watched it in some foreign language, the rest of it. So I think I only missed about 2 or 3 minutes. But yeah, pretty much we were all over the shop defensively at times. We controlled the game when we had the ball, and we just stopped playing football at different parts, which is really disappointing because it felt like every time we went forward, we were getting to good areas. And again, also lack of strikers is always going to be a problem. You're never going to play a game in the Premier League, that's not an issue. But I felt we were kind of all over the gap at the back. And then once we stopped playing football, giving the ball away constantly, and then they were just coming and coming and coming. And while we didn't have any clear-cut chances really other than the goal, in terms of Pickford didn't really have a save to make, but then he carved out a tap in at the back post, haven't they? So it's disappointing to concede from the corner. We've been much better so far this season, but obviously there's still work to be done. And yeah, it's hard really because I'd say I would have taken a point before the game, but then you see the way the game's panned out, and you say I'd take a point before the game, but then I also watch us lead for 60, 65 minutes, and we don't see it out. So it's disappointing. Brentford deserved the point from the game, so from their side, I'm sure they're pleased with a point. But yeah, hopefully they see it, the players see it as a point gained rather than 2 points dropped, and they can move on to what will be another tough game in the week.
Yeah, you made a good point then. You said when you're leading for so long in a game, it's hard to not win the game and feel happy about it, isn't it? 65 minutes, was that how long we were ahead for? Yeah, it's over 2/3, isn't it? So
yeah, it was about an hour, I think. Yeah, I think there was the 85th minute, and we were about the 20th minute, 25th minute, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I did the preview a few days ago, and I was saying I didn't even see us scoring. So I'd have taken a point absolutely 100%. I'd have taken a goal just if he could promise me that we were going to score in the game, because I didn't see that happening. But we did, and it was a very well taken goal as well by Anthony Gordon, showing that, he does make a difference to this team. Obviously his future's up in the air, but he would be a player if we lost him and then didn't replace him adequately. We would feel it on the squad sort of thing. It's not like he'd just go and no one would ever miss him. I think that was Gordon's first goal of the season, was it? Yeah, he got one chalked off, didn't he? Against Aston Villa, I think it was. So Gordon's account's open now. Whether he's going to up sticks and go down to Chelsea, we don't know, but that's a video for another day. For me, it's got to be considered a point gained. It's got to be, considering the state that we're in. We've got a striker now. We've got that more pay. He just wasn't registered in time to play a part yesterday. He's going to play in the next games. I think he's fully fit, isn't he? He hasn't got any medical problems, so he's just going to go straight into the team as soon as he's able to. Point gains, considering Brentford are really high on confidence at the moment. I mean, I don't think they're a great team. They're one of those clubs that I think are really worth keeping an eye on this season, because it could go one or two ways. They could have a look very, very solid and have an absolutely safe, drama-free season, or they could be one of these teams that ends up going on a losing run, I think, and then gets stuck down the bottom of the table. Hopefully Everton are not one of them, but Brentford are a club that I could easily see finishing in the bottom three, but I could just as easily see them finishing, not far off the top half. So going back to what I was saying, they're coming off a resounding 4-0 against United. That was their last home game, so their fans were going to be, get a great atmosphere going again, but our fans, travelling support, went down there and matched the atmosphere, and were probably made the atmosphere. The Everton fans were in full voice the entire game. It was what I've been reading, and you definitely could hear them on the highlights video that I saw. But I know it's frustrating when you're ahead in a game for that long, and we only had to see out, another 5 minutes plus stoppage time to get 3 points instead of one. But for me, it's still got to be considered a point gains, because there's a lot of teams who would have the problems Everton have and would go play a team that is, morale has got to be sky high for them, considering what they've just done to United in the last few weeks. There's a lot of teams who would have went down there with no striker and probably just put in a very meek performance and, got the bums slapped, basically. And we got our bums slapped in terms of we gave up loads of chances, but we showed a lot of grit and a lot of determination. And I thought a bit of spirit as well. And that's something that we had none of last season. So it's definitely a point game for me. It's just, again, it comes with the unfortunate, side story of it's yet another injury, and it's another defender who's injured. It's Mason Holgate now, which means if we're going to stick with this three at the back, then the only player who we can put in there to go with Tarkowski and Cody is going to be Michael Keane. And I get a chill even saying his name. So given that that Holgate's going to be out for at least a couple of weeks, I've heard that it's not a bad injury. He's definitely going to miss the next 2 or 3 games, though, by the sounds of it. Do you want to see us maybe change formation and go to a 4 at the back, or do you think we have to just stick with this sort of 3 centre backs and have to make do with Michael Keane, no matter how poorly everyone doesn't seem to rate him?
I mean, it's hard. I'm not sure, because I don't know how much Cody played in the back 4. He played back 5 for England and for Wolves. I guess he played single figures as a centre half in the back 4 at the Premier League. At that Premier League level. Also, there is Seamus Coleman there as well. I heard some rumours people saying they could see Mikalenko going in there and playing Vinagre out on the left. I don't know how well that would go. So he's got options. I mean, I think a lot of people will be quite happy to see him been off the 5 or the 3 back for a couple of games, but I don't know if he's got the foundations for it. Last season, the back 5 he was deploying, where it was Coleman at wing back, John Joe Kenny on the left, Holgate and Michael Keane centre half there as well. It was just a mess, really, wasn't it? And I think this season now it's much better suited for the back 5, but then I don't know how well someone like, I say, Conor Cody's going to perform in the back 4, so I'm unsure what he's going to do. I think he's probably quite happy to bring James Coleman back into the team. I wouldn't be surprised if he played him in the centre, also on the right-hand side of the back 3, but when it comes to the injuries, have you ever seen a team get 3 centre-half injuries in 4 games? It's just absolutely ridiculous, and especially when you consider that Godfrey suffered a bad injury and Holgate as well, very rarely injured. Obviously, it's our own fault, really, isn't it? You play Jamie, there's a risk you're going to get injured, so less so him. But for the other 2, a bad injury and somebody very rarely else injured is also gone now too. So thankfully, Cody and Tarkowski, their injury records are practically spotless, which is a rarity for an Everton player. So I think I'll probably just see him bringing in Seamus Coleman. That's probably most likely. I think he'd probably rather do that than play Michael Keane, but I'm not sure. Depends who leads. Play obviously looks like Bamford's probably not going to be fit again. He's been out injured for most of the past sort of year or so, and he's kind of the main striker, probably Rodrigo up front. So I don't know. He's someone you really need to sort of think of when you're looking to kind of combat a striker. But yeah, I could probably see him bringing in Coleman more likely than Keane. But we'll see. We'll see what he does. See if he wants to play maybe a 4-3-3, try and match close to what Leeds are playing. I'm unsure, but yeah, it's a massive annoyance for us all in another injury, and whether he wants to go and get another centre half or whether he's going to trust Reece Welsh to be part of the first team this season is going to be interesting.
There seems to be a case that people are making that we should go to a back 4 so we can play 3 centre mids, because I saw Onana was getting a lot of plaudits. So Obi was our man of the match, supposedly, and I don't think he's had a bad game this season. Yeah, you could probably count on your fingers the amount of bad games he's had in the last 6 months. And as looks like, he seems to have found his place in the Everton team now, years after we actually signed him. For years of kind of not knowing what to do with him and him kind of not really knowing what to do with himself in games that he did play. It just seems finally to have gelled for Iwobi, and he's found his spot, which is as a central midfield player, a ball, someone who will get us up the pitch and look to dribble at opponents. So if let's say, for example, we go for a 4-3-3, who would be your 3 centre mids? Would it be Iwobi? Would it be Onana? And would it be Decore when he gets back fit? Would it be Davis? Because Davis came on and has looked good in the cameos that he's had the last few weeks. He's playing more minutes for us now than he did last year. I know he was injured for a bulk of it, but I don't remember Davis getting many minutes at all early last season under Rafa. But it seems like Davis is very back in the frame of things under Lampard. Frank seems to be giving him a fair chance, and he seems to be doing well with them. So Onana, Red did really well. So just before you answer that question of who would your midfield 3 be if that's what we end up switching to, What was your general take on Onana? Because I said I only saw the highlights and he looked good to me, but was Onana someone who stood out as being really well? Do you see any errors there that you think he's going to have to, get rid of that bad habit? He's going to have to learn, or was it just all positive?
I thought he played really well. Yeah, I was really impressed with him. Obviously, I imagine you've seen the slide tackle that he did, which it's just one of those things. Like a good sentiment does 3 or 4 of them a game, but it's one of them where it's just such a clean tackle. It's a great crunching tackle. It's everyone in the stadium can see it's a perfectly legal challenge. I know you had some Brentford players appealing, but just like football's going, is it? You can't leave the ground anymore. But terrific tackle. He had just given the ball away though. I don't know if you'd seen now. They had cut that off on the Instagram reel they put up this morning, but given the ball away. He gave a couple of sloppy passes away, but other than that, I thought he'd be really tidy. And then he had a terrific ball through to Demarai Gray, which he's got to do better with. That's the frustration with Demarai Gray, because I think he played well against Forest, scored the goal, played well against Fleetwood, scored the goal, but then yesterday wasteful, and obviously didn't score there. I think he had an effort on goal as well, which was saved. He had a couple of nice runs. It was just a really tidy performance, and the best thing for me, other than that tackle and the through ball, was, which you might not have seen, was they had a sort of a 3/4 ball chipped into the back post, and it was headed down. It looked for all the world one of their players was going to volley it in, and he's come out of nowhere with this big long leg, and he's got a nice clearance on it, nice contact on the ball, and got away from danger. And it was just really nice to see an athletic central midfield player, all action, confidence was oozing, it felt like. And it's a shame he had to go off, but obviously Lampard, I think he felt like he had to come out after the game and say he suffered a bit of an injury, or he a bit unfit.
I saw Frank get stick for that, for taking him off, but I think Frank, basically explained it perfectly. Like, I don't think Frank should get criticism for that, because he said himself, didn't he, that Onana had told him that he was kind of feeling it a bit at half time, and he didn't have another 45 minutes in him. So, yeah, anyone who's criticising Frank for taking Onana off, I think that's not fair. But sorry, go on, mate.
No, yeah, but it's bang on. It's like it's what happened, isn't it? And that's strange, because I went to the game last week against Forest, and you're turning up and everyone's furious that Davis is playing, and Onana's not. I mean, Onana came on, and within 5 minutes, he's given the ball away, he's gotten booked, he's done another foul, he's one trip away or one missed time tackle away from getting sent off in his debut. And just like that, his confidence would have been shot to pieces. So it frustrated me there. And then it's now to the other side, it's like he's playing, but we don't want to get injured, we don't want to get ran ragged in the midfield area. Again, he's been booked. Taking off is the best option, and I don't really know what the kind of ball process, because Davis came on, did fine, as we've said, like he's been fine all season. So I don't really understand why he's getting that sort of stick, and if it means he can now play 90 minutes on Tuesday, maybe that'd be great. But he had a bad stamp on his sort of ankle, heel, up sort of area from Vista, which got him booked only 10 minutes before he went off as well. So it's all those things factored in, and it's one of them, isn't it, where the manager knows his players better than we do. He knows the conversations and everything that's gone on, and I'm just glad he came out and said he had suffered a slight injury, and that he didn't feel he could carry on for much longer. But yeah, it was a top performance from him. I was really pleased, and he's raw. He's going to make mistakes. I'm sure there's been more errors in his game, and there's going to be more problems over the next sort of 3, 4, 5 weeks. But I just really hope he keeps that up, that sort of level where it's consistent. He was really good yesterday, and him and Iwobi, I was worried of them as a pair, and they were both excellent again. So I'm really, really pleased with those two.
Yeah, there's definitely a case to be made. I think a strong case that maybe going 4-3-3, at least in certain games, is what's going to be best for us. Even though 5 at the back, or 3 at the back, however people want to describe it, they've both got the pluses and negatives, haven't they? Other than this game, we've looked pretty solid with the 3 centre halves, haven't we? But we've not had a lot up front, and if we put another midfielder in there at the expense of a defender, then I think it will help us push up the pitch furthermore and help us get the best out of players like Onana, ideally, and Iwobi. I think a lot of it will depend on whether or not we get this Gay transfer done. If Gay it comes in and he's still the same Gay he was when he left a couple of years ago, then I thought we could, a 4-3-3 will make a lot of sense then, because we know Gay can cover the ground, we know he can get back and be that man who's missing for the back four. He can get back and help fill the gap basically, while Onana and Iwobi just stay pushing on. But just going back to the overall result and where it leaves us, it means that we're on 2 points, 2 draws, 2 losses. And I think other than maybe this game, we haven't particularly played badly in any game. I know the Forest game was frustrating, but for different reasons. This game was frustrating because basically we were just far too open and we rode our luck. And the defence has to be a lot better than that because they're going to come up against attacking teams who are far, far better than Brentford, who won't miss the chances that Brentford did. But it leaves us with 2 points. I think when I looked at the table earlier on, that means that Everton finished game week 4 in the bottom 3. Now, that doesn't mean anything for me. Some fans are already kind of really getting on Lampard, and I'm not necessarily going to blame them. I think Lampard does deserve some of the criticism he's been getting. Some of it, not all of it. I want to see more from him. But I don't really think there's been any player in the team who you look at and you think he's been really, really bad in these first few games. He should be dropped. Or there's been any sort of really terrible tactical blunder that's cost us games, other than maybe the one against Forest last week when we took Davis off and brought Onana on, as you said, for his cameo, and Onana was clearly, overexcited and ended up having a negative impact on the side rather than a positive one. So we've got 2 points out of the first 4. It's not great, but we've been in this sort of situation numerous times, especially during the David Moyes years. For me, there's enough. We're seeing enough in these performances to justify faith that things are going to get better, and they're going to get better relatively quickly. I'm not saying we're going to be in the top half by Christmas or anything like that, but when I see this team the way it's performing, I just don't see a side unless something absolutely crazy happens, like we get even more injuries that makes it comparable to last season, or we start getting screwed over by officials again. I just don't see anything in this team that makes me really, really worry. So I think, all right, it might be a very boring season, and we might have some bad defeats along the way. We might have some games where we want more out of what we actually get. We think, right, the win was there for us if we just showed a bit more enthusiasm, or we just got the right we just made a different tactical decision. But I don't see a team that I'm looking at thinking, oh my God, these are really going to struggle. These are going to get turned over by, the vast majority of teams in this league. I don't see that. I'm seeing enough, especially at the back, to make me think this team is going to be okay. It won't pull up any trees. It will probably lose all the games that we're expected to lose against the likes of the top 4. We'll probably get beat by all of them. But I just, there's no alarms going off in my head personally. It's still early. Maybe I won't be saying the same after these next 2 games, which are, I think, is it Leeds and then Liverpool? If we get battered, if we get battered in the next 2 games and we've got 2 points out of 6, and the performances are really, really going downhill in terms of quality, I might be feeling a bit different. But as things are right now, I just don't see any need to panic, really. I know it's not nice looking at the table and seeing us with only 2 points, and you think we could very, very easily and should probably have 4 or 5 points and be, above other teams who haven't looked as good as us. But there's certain teams in this league who I think are just going to get bounced, and they're going to get bounced regularly. I'm not impressed by Nottingham Forest. I'm not impressed by Aston Villa at all. I think Steven Gerrard will be out of that job very soon. They've lost again today, 3 out of 4. The only team that he's beaten was us, and I thought we were unlucky against Aston Villa. There's other teams where Bournemouth got absolutely torn to pieces by Liverpool. Bournemouth are going to look like they're going to be the whipping boys. Fulham were a bit unlucky yesterday against Arsenal. I think Fulham are probably going to get dragged down there and stay down there. Whether they stay up or not, I'm not too sure, but I don't see Fulham getting outside of the top 5, outside of the bottom 5 for the majority of the season. So for me personally, I just don't think that any panic or any over-the-top criticism of Lampard is merited yet.
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to have his doubters. He's going to have people who are never going to kind of be on side of him, and there's I follow on Twitter who you kind of feel like no matter what he does or what this team does, they're going to have problems with it, and that's fine. Whatever, that's their own thing, that's their own agenda. But I think what's interesting is the 2 things I have been thinking of is firstly with last week after the Forest game, I think it was Tom Davis put on his Instagram, and I think someone else did as well, saying, "Look, stick with us. Things are getting better. Things are coming. You've got to kind of stick with the process." And then Connor Cody said the same thing yesterday.
Yeah, I saw Cody's one. Cody was "Stay with us, Blues." Like, kind of, yeah. They're sending off the right messages, aren't they? They don't look like a gang who are feeling sorry for themselves like they did last year.
Yeah, exactly. It just feels like it feels like the players who see 90% more than we do, because all we see is match day interviews and the training clips on a Friday or whatever. They see the day-to-day of the club. They see what Lampard and the coaches are trying to do, and As far as I'm concerned, I agree with you. I don't see any performance so far that's worried me. I don't see any tactical thing that worries me. There's nothing where I'm thinking, oh, we conceded every set piece or anything like that. We conceded a couple of decent goals this year. Brentford, at the end of the day, the set piece one's disappointing, and then obviously a penalty. That's kind of what's happened throughout this season so far. But I just think there's nothing there that's again kind of making me think this is bad. He's not addressing this. He's not fixing that. There's no player like you say who I kind of feel like he needs to be dropped. He's a pet. He's a teacher's pet. He's a favourite. He's made the big call. He's taken Coleman out. I know he was injured for the first couple of games, but he's not brought him straight back in. And he's dropped Michael Keane. He's brought his own signs and his own stamp on the team. And the other thing was I kind of looking at Mikel Arteta, and I know they've got a better team, they've got more money, etc., but they were in a bad situation and they stuck around with him. And you could see in some of the games when things were improved for him, he started out playing a 5 at the back or a 3 at the back, whatever you want to call it. When the team evolved, it got better. You can't trust the process a little bit, and I do just feel like because I'm watching these games and at no point I'm thinking, wow, we're really, really bad. I'm just kind of thinking, wow, we really need a striker. That's kind of what I'm feeling like. Morpay comes in on Tuesday. If we can see a better performance there and a more cohesive performance, a more flowing performance, and that would be really good. And that would be what Lampard needs. I think if we get a big win on Tuesday, play well, defence is solid, we get that sort of front three firing again, that'll be what we need, I think, going into the derby match, where obviously anything can happen for better or for worse. But I'm the same as you. I just think some of the stuff's over the top. Some of it's merited. I didn't really understand people saying we needed to bring Rondon on earlier yesterday and have an out ball. I understand the concept of an out ball is when you are under pressure, you get the ball to a big striker, he drags you up the pitch, wins a foul. But Rondon is just terrible. He's crap. It's like Calvert-Lewin's brilliant at that. Getting the ball, going 20 yards, getting fouls, getting us a free kick, getting us up the pitch. He's terrific at that. Solomon Rondon can't do that. It's like playing with 10 players. He's on the pitch. And I think if he come on in the 70th, 75th minute on Saturday, I don't think it would have made a big difference, if truth be told. But obviously, he did come on, he did nothing. So it's one of them, isn't it? I think everyone's going to have a difference of opinion, and certainly with Everton fans. But for me, I think we're more or less on the same page. I don't see anything that's really worrying me. I just think now we've got that striker in. I wish he could have played yesterday, but obviously it didn't quite happen. But I think we get him in on Tuesday, see how we do. I think that would be my kind of feelings towards it at the minute.
Yeah, no, very, very sensible and very, very calm, which is something that you don't associate with Everton fans a lot, is it? We're just so over the top and we're so sort of one extreme to the other. But I think that about wraps it up for this post-match review. We got a goal, we got a point. Brentford were a team that were flying, and on paper, going into the game, I wasn't confident at all that we'd get anything. We have got something, could have got something more, but at the end of the day, we rode our luck to even be in the game at that point, never mind winning the game and then conceding late to draw. So for me, it's a point gained, but if other people feel like it was 2 drops, then let us know in the comments what your general thought was about the match, about the performance of certain players, and whether you think we should, change formation, whether someone should be dropped. Just let us know what your thoughts are and just what your general feeling is about the team after seeing the first 4 games and where we are and where you think we're probably going to end up going in the near future. But this is it for this video. Brentford 1, Everton 1. On to the next game now, which is Leeds away at Ellen Road. And we'll have that video coming up very shortly.